We clear our existing messages. By the way, the reason that we'll do this on a test server is we want to just clear all of this work. We just delete and reconstruct that channel. But here we go. We'll send a test message. Now we can actually see that message content. Now that we can see that message content, well, it's not too hard for us to do something with that message. For example, we can try to reply to that message. So we could say if that message came from a particular user, or if that message looked a certain way, we can reply to it. We can build a very simple echo service. You can see this is a bound method. This is an asynchronous bound method. So what we'll do is we'll await a message.reply content.upper. We'll just do a simple echo server where we reply in the uppercase. Now, I'm going to do something behind the scenes, and you're going to see why I'm going to do that in a moment, but just bear with me. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to sleep for 1 second before I do that. Because it turns out one of the tricks that we have to, or one of the things that we have to be aware of, even when we're writing these simple message servers, is this Discord bot can see all messages, including its own. And if we, it should be message.content.upper, get that going. And if we set up our echo server too naively, we'll see that it'll respond to itself. So one of the things that we have to be aware of is, first, let's only look at messages from a particular user. And two, maybe let's add a little bit of rate limiting into this thing, because we really don't want this to spam itself, constantly responding to itself. We'll delete this channel and create a brand new text channel. And we probably want to be a little bit more careful about how this replies to things. So what we can do is we could say if message.author maybe doesn't equal the client user. That might give us what we want. And then that way it won't accidentally reply to itself. So let's see if that worked. It's ready. There we go. And we no longer have that unfortunate looping forever behavior. Okay, pretty straightforward. But we started this by saying, well, what if we wanted to send a message that was unprovoked, unsolicited, a message that just comes out of the blue, a message that is just being sent? For example, what if we wanted to build simple scheduled messaging in Discord? Well, that actually would be fairly useful because unfortunately the Discord client doesn't have the ability to schedule messages, and it's a very useful thing, especially if you're using your server for any kind of events, if you want to remind people, hey, we're streaming by tagging @everybody, whatever the case may be. You might not want to have to wait until somebody says something before you reply. Well, it turns out that there's not really a event that we can trigger other than onReady that allows us to do this. So there's more or less two ways we can do this. The first way we can do this is either to create a background task that just waits for the client to be ready, or we can smuggle this into onReady. I'll show you the first approach. Here we're ready. What we'll do is we'll need to get the channel that we want to communicate on. And the way that we can get the channel that we want to communicate on is we can ask our client to get all channels. We can print those out. So here we can see all of the channels that we're on. We could see our text channel right here. We could filter this down to the particular one that we want, but here we'll grab this. And one thing that you may be aware of if you're a power user of Discord and if you've enabled some of the developer options is everything in Discord has an identifier associated with it. So here, this is the channel identifier, the unique identifier. In discord.py, there's actually an object that you can use to create these arbitrary objects just from their identifiers. But our goal here is actually much simpler than that. We just want to get a hold of this channel. So here we'll say client.getChannel. We'll send its identifier. And let's see what we can do. Well, maybe we want to send a couple of messages, so we want to count down to something. So here we might do something like we'll sleep for maybe 3 seconds just to simulate this is some kind of scheduled message. So we'll sleep for 3 seconds, and then once every second, we'll count down to reverse this from 3 to 1. We might do something like this. Event starting in something like this here. And there we go. And then finally, we might send a. Now, of course, this is going to be very irritating if you're a member of this particular server, but you get the general idea. Here, this should wait 3 seconds, and then it should start sending messages once per second. Let's fix our typo here. This should be reversed. And that one more time, we'll shorten this to 2 seconds, just so we don't have to wait too long. And then we should see that, by the way, we've got to fix 1 or 2 things. There should be test channel here, test channel here. And hopefully that's enough to get this thing working. So we might have to smuggle this into that on ready, or we might have to start a background task. But you can see we can do some pretty basic things very, very easily. With the background task, what we need to do is we need to tell the discord.py event loop that there's a background task. And in that background task, we'd have to wait for the client to be ready and then do largely the same sorts of things here. It won't be that different than the approach that we have here. What we'll do is we'll say client.loop. We'll create a task. This. And here we'll need to do this. This is a little tricky. We'll need to do this in such a way that we have the background. So here we might have to do this in an asynchronous context. So we might have to do this with a setup hook. But for the most part, it's not altogether too different. So I think we can move on. Because I want to show you some other things that we can do. When you think about the Discord bots, it's not just the case that they can send messages or respond to messages. It's also the case that they have particular commands that are associated with them. You have those slash commands. And this is something that Discord also makes relatively easy to do. I'll show you how. We can register new slash commands, and discord.py does a little bit of work to make this quite easy for us to do and to set up fairly complex single-shot automations. Here's what we're going to do. Let's get our simple client going. We'll get a simple client going with all intents, including that message content intents. And what we're going to also add on to this is a commands tree. So we'll pull from Discord, client, the intents. We'll pull from it the command tree. And we'll pull in a decorator to allow us to register some commands. So we'll give this client a command tree. That'll give us the ability to do slash commands. One of the things that I'm also going to do here is I'm going to limit myself to only registering this slash command on that one guild that I belong to. And the reason for that is there's a delay for syncing this. So if your Discord bot is added to a bunch of different servers, a bunch of different guilds, there'll be a delay every time you want to sync all of these slash commands. And just to avoid that, what I'll do is I'll make sure to only hit my test guild. Well, if I want to get my test guild ID, I could always go back to any previous code I wrote that looked at all the guilds I'm in. So we can take a look here and see what that guild ID is. Here, this is the some tester server. We can grab this ID number here. Oh, that's my test guild. And what I'll do is I'll create a test command. This is a description, and I'll set this only for my test guild. This will be my test command. Takes an interaction. This gives it the ability to respond. The interaction gives it the ability to respond to some message that it was sent. And what I'll do is once my client is ready, make sure to synchronize these commands to everything, including to just that test guild. So here, and then we'll say this thing's ready. And we'll run our Discord server, or Discord bot rather. So, and let's just fix 1 or 2 typos. Message content. Go. And once this is ready, what I should now see is, in addition to the ability to respond to just regular messages, I also have slash commands. And you can see this right here, some test command is my slash command. So we'll just give it some data. Nothing really happens when we send this command. It's now being sent over to our application back here. Let's print out interaction. See if we can try that one more time. We might need to re-register this bot every time this changes, but I don't think we need to do that. So let's just do this. If this gets sent in, there you go. It didn't respond. And so the reason this is giving this message is the interaction didn't reply with anything. So here, why don't we do the following? Let's actually respond with something. So we actually get a response from this. Okay, we'll wait till this is ready. And once this marks that it's ready, we should, and I think we need to make this actually needs to be asynchronous. Well, we'll give this a moment to get ready. You can see that synchronizing is, the time for that synchronizing is actually adding up. So hopefully that should be good. Let's see, there we go. And you can see we have some receipt.